Hey, welcome. Today we are here with Alec Berlin, a very talented instrumental singer-songwriter from New York, who is going to tell us many things about his musical project. Hi, Alec. What's
Hey
going
guys,
on?
how are you guys doing? Thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
Yeah, we are so glad to having you today. Let's start by talking about your musical background. When did you fall in love with music?
Oh, I was very young. I started playing guitar when I was 7 years old, when I was only seven. Um, and I have some memories of music before that, singing songs with my parents, but it was really when I was seven, uh, I fell in love with Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that would be a good influence.
Yeah.
And apart from your three previous albums, you also did great performance on Broadway, like Great Day, American Idiot, The Lion King, Wicked, Bright Star. But now, how will you define your current musical project?
Well, I describe it a few ways. I get asked this question a lot. The most succinct way I can describe it is instrumental singer-songwriter music, which is a little confusing because singer is in the word, is in the phrase, but there's no singing, it's instrumental. So what I mean by that is a lot of instrumental music, in my experience, it's either jazz or it's very flashy and technical. And I don't mean any disrespect, that's beautiful music. But that's just not the music that I make. The music I make is instrumental, but it's not quite stylistically, it's not flashy. It's more like singer-songwriter music. It's just that it's instrumental. So that's what I try to describe to people, is the fact that it's instrumental, but also that it's not super flashy. I also think, I do have a lot of experience playing on Broadway, and that kind of music is often very, very detail-oriented and specific, and my music is too. So I don't know, does that answer your question? Is that helpful?
And we love the creative originality in your compositions. So let's talk about your source of inspirations. What inspires you when composing your songs?
Well, it's different from song to song. Each one is a little bit different. The first song that I wrote for this record, I dreamed it. I dreamed it. I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard the song from my dream, and I just thought to myself, well, let's figure out what that song is, because it was so clear that I could, like in my head, I could sort of understand what the chords were. So I got up middle of the night and I grabbed a guitar and I started playing and I figured out the song. And it wasn't a complete song, but it was most of a song. So I finished it. The next day I went back to sleep and then I finished the song. And over the next couple weeks, that same thing happened 2 or 3 more times, where I woke up in the middle of the night and I had been dreaming about music, and I've learned it right away and then finished it. And after that, I just started being a little bit more deliberate about it. I just would sit down with a guitar and I didn't have any agenda. I wasn't practicing something in specific. I had a few hours ahead of me with nothing to do, and I just let my fingers go where they were going to go. And before too long, I found something that seemed interesting.
Okay.
And I would record it, and it was only 10 seconds, but then I would have it, and then I would keep playing, and then I would get the next 10 seconds. So I would record that. So now I had 20 seconds. And then I would just go very, very slowly like that over the course of several days. So there wasn't really one inspiration, like a concert I went to, or it was just a lot of work. But for whatever reason, it was really fun for me to do that work.
Now you just released a new single, Man's Best Friend. Could you tell us about it?
Yeah. This is one of the first songs that I wrote for this record. I wrote it in the middle of the night. I dreamt it. And it's an unusual song because it's really a few different sections that are stitched together. And the sections change pretty dramatically from one to the next. The first section is pretty dramatically different from the next section. And the third section is pretty dramatically different from the first, and etc. But what was enjoyable about writing this song is that each time I needed I would get to the end and I would think, okay, what comes next? And I just sort of thought to myself, wow, this would be so cool if it did this. I know it's nothing like what came before, but man, that would be so cool. So I started playing around with it, and sure enough, it worked. And then I got to the end of that section, and I was like, what's going to come? Oh, man, this would be so cool. And that's how I kept doing that until I got to the end. And it was a very gratifying experience to write that song. And it's also, when I perform it in concert, it's consistently well received. People really like it. And that feels like a good validation of my instincts.
Okay, well, it's time to share your music with people. Could you introduce your son, Man's Best Friend?
Sure. This song is called Man's Best Friend. It was written by me, Alec Berlin, and I hope you enjoy it.
Let's go. Ready? In 3, 2, 1, go. yeah.
Wow, great.
Yeah.
Wow.
We
It's
do,
like an inner journey
yeah.
through the life.
We
Wow.
do
It's
like it.
awesome.
We do like it. Yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah.
That's so kind. I really appreciate
Well, Tony,
Yeah,
at the
amazing. Eh?
middle of the song, is there a bloom? Boom.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yes, yes,
We
yes.
are,
All right.
we are
Thank you
that's
very much.
indeed incredible. Wow. And now let's talk about your goals for this year. Are you going to record new songs, go on tour, or something else?
Well, I will release one further song on April 27th, which is the final song of this project. I recorded 12 songs altogether in 2021, and I've been releasing them one per month. And Man's Best Friend, the song we just heard, is song number 11. So the next song, song number 12, it's the final song. It's called Space Punk. And when that's released, then this project is finished. I'll do, I don't have any plans to tour. I'd always like to, but I don't have any plans to at the moment. I will be doing a concert here in New York City in May 21st. And I have a few more songs that I've started to record. And I guess my goal is to complete them before the end of the year, to complete them and release them. So I guess complete them over the summer and then release them in the fall.
Okay. Alec, what's your opinion about digital impact on music with social media and mainstream platforms?
My opinion about the impact?
Hey, sorry?
Would you please repeat the question?
Okay, sorry.
Sorry.
What's your opinion about digital impact on music with
Yeah.
social media and mainstream platforms?
Well, good and bad. Good is that it's very easy for independent artists such as myself to come to the attention of supportive music fans like yourselves in Spain and other places around the world. Without the internet, it would be so much harder for you and I to connect with one another. But that also means that there's so much more music, and it's that makes it more difficult for somebody to come to get noticed.
Yeah.
And I guess it's my personality to try to focus on the positive aspects. I'm grateful that my music can be heard all over the world, and it doesn't require me having a multi-million-dollar contract with I can just record my music and put it on the internet and you can find it. So I think it's good. I also think it would be good if, independent artists could make more money, but.
Okay.
You share stage with great artists around the world, but which artist would you like to share on a stage or work together on other musical projects?
Well, that's an interesting question.
Good question.
Anybody?
Anybody?
Yeah. No problem. Okay.
This is going to be a disappointing answer, I'm afraid, but there's so many musicians that I admire and who are inspiring to me, and it would be so humbling and rewarding to get to play with them. But playing my own music is a completely different category in terms of gratification and fulfillment. And so I think the way I would answer your question is my dreams about the ideal performance situation is to get to play my music more and more to more people in more places in bigger venues. That's not to say that I would be disappointed if Paul McCartney asked me to join his band, but
wow. Ooh. Ooh.
I'd also like to just play my own music as much as possible.
Okay. And by the way, how do you prepare before each performance to connect with the audience?
I don't prepare. Well, I rehearse with the band. We rehearse, and the people, the musicians I play with are good friends of mine, and we've played together a lot. And that's so. Not only do we, refamiliarize ourselves with the music, but we just reestablish a connection with one another, and that's very comforting. And in New York, it's very difficult to get people to come to hear you perform, so I spend a lot of time on that. And then I just try to remind myself that it's supposed to be fun. I mean, it's a job and it's a career and it's a passion and all these things. But at the end of the day, the performance itself is, if it's fun, then you're probably putting forth good energy and good music. And so I just try to keep that in mind. And oftentimes it's hard to keep that in mind. But the second I'm on stage with my friends and we're playing my music, everything else just sort of melts away.
Okay. And from your experience on a stage around of the world, is there any concert that you remember in particular?
Of my concerts?
Yes. Other good
Any
question.
situation.
But you mean as a performer, not as an audience member, as a performer?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few. The first time I played this music from this record, that's very memorable because it was uncertain how it would be received, and it was very fulfilling and gratifying. The first performance we did, I guess it was in July of 2021 after COVID. That was really meant a lot to me. There used to be a very famous jazz club in New York City called the 55 Bar, which closed, sadly. It closed about 6 months ago. But I got to play there once in the 90s. And that meant a lot to me because I go there all the time to hear my heroes play. So those are a few.
Yeah. Wow.
And to conclude, would you mind to send a message to the audience, including new fans that is watching you right now?
Yeah. I can say anything?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course.
I want to say how grateful I am to everybody who's listening for listening to my music and supporting my music, and to Radio Caviar for playing my music and supporting it, and to encourage people to keep listening and to not just to me but to independent artists, because there's great musicians all over the world who are worthy and deserving of your attention. So listen to as much of it as you can, but especially listen to my song Man's Best Friend and my song Space Punk, which is going to come out on April 27th. And I'm sorry that I don't speak Spanish. I'm sorry that I don't speak Spanish. But thank you for listening.
No problem.
Thank you very much for listening.
The musical language is universal.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
we are
of course.
Everyone are connected.
Yes.
Well,
that's all.
Thank you.
It was so nice
Thank
sitting
you.
down with you today.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. I was a pleasure talking to you today, Alec.
The pleasure was mine. It was a pleasure for me too.
All our support and diffusion. This is your musical home in Spain, Canary Island.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Bye, bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.